Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for another episode of Conversity's webinar series. We are delighted to have you. Today, we're going to be talking about what every e-commerce business is focused on, standing out in a sea of sameness, differentiating their offer when competition is just one click away, creating a personalized online experience that speaks to consumers and maximizes conversion rates. I'm Brad Christian, Chief Commercial Officer for Conversity. Thank you so much for registering and being a part of our session. We have a really good one planned for you today. But before we dive in, we have three housekeeping topics that we want to cover. One is we're going to go for about 45 minutes today, but we will stop short of that time to give you an opportunity to ask questions. And in fact, throughout the session, if you have any questions, and we hope that you do, please use the Q&A functionality here in the webinar tool to ask those, and we'll capture those towards the end, and we'll answer those questions. And if you should have some sort of technical problem, and we hope that you don't, just use the raise hand feature in the tool here, and a member of our technical team will help get that sorted for you. So, first of all, I want to let you know that I'm delighted to be joined by the two co-founders of the PharmPet Co, Neil and Phil Younger. And gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of our session today. We are delighted to have you, and I really appreciate your time and effort to prepare for this session. I can just tell you that your story is going to be compelling for the audience today. So thank you, and would you like to say hello to them?
Yeah, sure. So thanks, Brad. And firstly, I just wanted to say thank you for your invitation to take part in this webinar. And thank you to everyone as well that's joined the session. My name is Neil Younger. I'm co-founder of the PharmPet Co. A bit of background, really. I'm a pharmacist with over 20 years experience in various pharmaceutical settings, including clinical pharmacy, pharmacy management, .com, and also IT product management.
Hi, Brad, and yeah, again, I extend those thank yous to yourself and everybody that's taken the time to join us today, and also to those that are watching post the session. So I'm Phil Younger, the other co-founder of the PharmPet Co. I'm also a pharmacist with 15 years of experience across multiple sort of retail sectors, including health and beauty, telecoms, pharmacy, and I've got a background that sort of spans across operations, customer experience, and transformation programs.
Well, thank you both for joining us. Again, really delighted to have you be a part of the session. Can you tell our audience a little bit about the company itself?
Yeah, sure. So we established the PharmPet Co in 2019, and we're a family-run online veterinary pharmacy. And we're regulated by the General Pharmaceutical Council here in the UK, and we're accredited by the Veterinary Medicines Directorate Internet Retailer Scheme. Our vision is to be the first choice for veterinary pharmacy in the UK, with a real focus on improving the well-being of animals and supporting their owners too. We dispense medication against veterinary prescriptions and supply non-prescription medication at an extremely price competitive rate for our customers, which, given the increasing price of pet care, particularly at the moment, has never been more important. In addition to the competitive costs, our key differentiator is built on providing a personalised service. We offer the ability for customers to talk to a named pharmacist for advice via phone or email support about general pet health and well-being.
Well, pet care is a massive booming industry, but in spite of that, you still felt like there were some challenges that you needed to tackle. Can you talk a little bit about the things you were focused on, or some of the initiatives you were driving in optimizing your platform?
Yeah, sure. So well, back at the start, so we launched the website just before lockdown, at a time when customers were moving increasingly online for help and advice. From customer contacts that we had, whether by phone or by email, it soon became very apparent to us that there were a lot of confused customers out there who needed additional help to make informed decisions about their pet's health. Now, one of these categories was worming treatment. That's something that has importance for both animal and human health due to the potential for transmission between the two. And our own analysis of customer contacts highlighted that there are so many different types of worming treatments available on the market, which can make choosing the best combination for your pet extremely confusing. And in addition to this, a pet's treatment needs may also vary due to their lifestyle, such as foreign travel, outdoor play, dietary habits, just to name a few. And in addition, knowledge of the different types of worms and when and how often you should treat is not very well understood. And again, there's so many different factors that can contribute to providing this correct treatment. The education of shoppers on the importance of a personalised worming treatment plan was a clear requirement to the customer, but also to us. And ultimately, we needed to develop the online service and advice that replicated the in-store experience at a pharmacy to help our customers find the medications that they needed. When you walk into a physical pharmacy, you're able to discuss a problem, and the pharmacist will ask a number of questions to find a solution specifically for your pet. But that can be quite tricky online. So giving the customers the means to access this support and advice was critical to building a strong relationship of trust in what is a growth market. Ultimately, online provides a convenient route for customers seeking to purchase these types of treatments, and having the ability to support these purchases via an IGS tool like we're going to see today in a user-friendly and automated manner was a key objective for us.
Perfect. So these are problems that every brand and retailer is trying to optimize in their online business. And Conversity exists to create hyper personalization at scale. We do that through intelligent guided selling platforms, and we've developed 3 specific products to help brands engage customers both online and in store. Our first product is called Connect, and that's the one, like you said, Phil, we're going to talk about today. It's the idea of using an e-commerce tool to connect a brand with a consumer and a consumer with the right product or service for them. Concierge is our in-store solution that leverages the Connect capability, but it's deployed on a tablet or a touchscreen such that you can buy online or in store, and gives you that kind of omni-channel approach. And then the last solution we have is our Charm product, and that is a tool that is used by sales advisors. It's a sales enablement functionality that puts product, pricing, inventory, and social media ratings all at a sales advisor's fingertips, so they can have an effective selling conversation and ultimately make the right recommendation. But today we're going to talk about Connect, and we're going to specifically dive into how the PharmPet Co is leveraging this tool to drive success on their platform. But again, Connect is our online guided customer journey capability that seeks to understand motivations and mindset, and deploys complex algorithms for product matches that can be put forward as recommendations so that a consumer can kind of quickly and simply add those items to cart. So Connect is about engaging the consumer and making it easy to transact. And obviously customer experience and online conversion rate being some of the powerful benefits of the solution. But with that as the backdrop, can you guys talk a little bit about kind of how you went about deploying?
Absolutely. So I guess if we look at the early stages of development, initially our thoughts were to create a simple product selector tool, which flagged potential products for customers, but didn't necessarily personalize the administration frequency or dosage requirements. And we were looking towards the majority of product information being provided as static text at the end of the journey. However, after sort of speaking with Conversity, we realized that there was a potential to include a greater level of personalization. So based on additional questions, we had the capability to not only recommend a suitable product, but based on potential risk factors, also suggest an administration frequency, and importantly, a dosage tailored to the pet in question. So we worked with Conversity's consumer psychologists to introduce information and modals at key points in the journey, which also maximize the value-adding elements of that information that we wanted to provide to the customers as part of that guided journey. And as a result of this, we've created what we believe to be the only veterinary product selector of its type in the UK. In terms of concern, we did have some concerns before we started the development of this. And the main one was that it was critical that we develop the correct logic and ultimately therefore gave the correct recommendations. And you're making sure that the recommendations were correct and the same as what pharmacists would advise, and also making sure that it was kept in keeping with the product license. Working with Conversity, they helped to provide reassurance regarding these concerns. So we were assigned a business analyst who made it the absolute mission to immerse themselves in our business and really understand the product category, and as well our customers who we were targeting. We gave Conversity the challenge, to work with our pharmacists and also veterinarians from Vetoquinol, who are a pharmaceutical company who are behind the Drontal range and have really supported us as well with this particular tool, to make sure that we got the logic right for this particular journey. It's important to understand, I'm sure people will understand, of course, that medicinal products are not an ordinary item of commerce. And we therefore, we needed to ensure that the correct level of rigor was applied to get this right. In a highly regulated environment, we needed the confidence that any logic developed was correct and right first time.
You mentioned working with Vetoquinol, and I know our consumer psychology team shared with me that the amount of insight and learning that they did across the category was intense, and they all walked away far more knowledgeable about the category. So they learned along the way as well, which was an interesting part of the process. You chose worming, and you talked a little bit before about why worming was important, but is there anything else you tell our audience about why worming was maybe more important than other categories that you trade?
Just a lot of it was due to the complexity of it as a category, really. So as a veterinary pharmacy, it's a key category for us anyway. But certainly, making sure that, following the insights we were getting from the customers around the potential confusion and just the potential lack of education that sits around this, it was really, really, important that we focused on this as a starting point. There are other categories that we'll go into, which actually I'd like to touch on if we can, later on in this, but certainly worming was a really good starting point for us, and where we really saw the immediate need and a very good place for us to start with something like this.
It was also an area that, from a customer point of view, compliance to treatment is key, but not fully understood. Mm-hmm. And so, whilst there is confusion around what type of worming treatment needs to be given, there was also the bit around how often and how do I administer. And so the value adding element of this journey was a really good one for us to start with, because it ticked all of those boxes that as a pharmacist, you want to be able to give that advice. So yeah, it was really quite important in that perspective.
And it sounds really sophisticated. You mentioned earlier educating the consumers being a kind of an initiative. What were some of the functionalities that you incorporated or methodologies you considered to try to bring that educational element into the journey?
Yeah, so I guess if we talk about the journey itself, I suppose we're really proud of this as our first IGS. And we ultimately, from a journey point of view, wanted to make it front and center on our website. And so we've made sure that it's right at the top of the website in terms of access. So it's really visible throughout the website. And we had it made sure that the branding was co-created with ourselves and the Drontal product team at Vetoquinol, and the designers, working with the designers at Conversity. Once we got into the IGS, we immediately start with the personalization journey, where we get the customer to add the pet name, and the pet name then follows the customer all the way through the product to the product recommendation. So the very final kind of, the dosage, the regime is specific to that pet, based on a number of answers provided by the customer throughout the journey on things like species, age, weight, current product understanding, risk factors, and all of which provide the information for the logic engine to do its thing, and it really, present the required information to the customer. We worked really hard in upfront, and the team at Conversity really did, as well as you've already alluded to, in terms of their learning and understanding. But we really learned to understand the gaps in our customers' knowledge, and we've been able to educate in these areas by using the information modals throughout the journey. So the image on the sort of left of the screen there shows that the customer's requested a product that is easy to administer. At this point, an information modal is available to show how to apply a spot-on solution. So this is helping with compliance to administering the product correctly, and it also gives the customer confidence to purchase, knowing that they can use the product as well. It's really important to us that throughout the journey, these information modals pop up where necessary to fill those gaps of knowledge. And a real key to success is that the product recommendation page is really simple to follow, and it makes the checkout a breeze, all helping with conversion as well. So.
Well, you said a couple of things there and you said it specifically, is buying confidence. So much of the e-commerce personalization journey is just building up that buying confidence. Is like, yeah, this is exactly the right thing. I need to go ahead and put it in the cart, buy it. It's exactly what I need. It's what I'm looking for. And so you said a couple of things, from education to the recommendation screen being simple. It's all about building the buying confidence. And then you talked about online conversion, which is obviously a result. What did you learn from the solution in terms of the actual customer experience?
Yes, we've had lots of data come through, which has been really, really interesting and insightful for us. So in terms of customer education, just starting there, that's 64% of consumers that are entering the journey have stated that they were confused about worming treatments, which really reflects the level of customer contacts that we had prior to developing this particular tool. We also consistently demonstrate a high level of engagement and a high engagement and completion rate. So 68% of sessions that click the Get Started button at the very start of the journey go on to view the recommendations page as well. And what's been great for us as well, we've also continued to have really positive customer feedback on the educational and informational element that this particular tool has been developed to provide.
And I don't think anyone would dispute that customer experience, feedback and the stats are important, but sometimes they're a little harder to harder to measure. What are some of the more tangible results or ROI that you've seen?
So we've got through the tool, we've got a 38% click to buy conversion rate, which is absolutely fantastic. And to bring that to life, that's a 9.5 times increase in conversion from our typical site. So about 4% generally across the site. So to have a 38% conversion off the back of this is really, really great. We've been really, really delighted actually with that. What we've also seen as well is bigger baskets as well at checkout. So particularly as you'd expect with the Drontal range that we've obviously gone in with this particular tool, and we're seeing an uplift in the Drontal range, as well as additional lines going into baskets as well. So that's been really, really encouraging.
Yeah, 38% is off the charts. It's fantastic, and I was talking with a premium stroller retailer last week, and they have a 1% online conversion rate, and their goal by the end of the year is to get to 1.2%. I think they would kill for 38%. And obviously their baskets are fairly large because of the price point of their product. But yeah, these solutions almost always produce really outsized conversion rate results. So it's really great to see that you're seeing the same benefit. And so that's one set of results. And I guess the other is just if there's any insights that you're getting into your business, your consumer, sort of talk a little bit about that if you don't mind.
So in terms of the insights that we get some really granular level, really detailed data insights through a monthly dashboard, which highlights a number of things, but includes things like most popular product recommendations, customer demographic, including customer mindset, devices that we use, pet profile information as well, which is a really rich source of data for us. which we can then feed into sort of marketing campaigns, and also how we look at product pages, how we present them to our customers. And a good example of that, actually, and how we've used the data in terms of product page, is that we've a bit of an unexpected benefit, if I'm honest with you, but one we'll definitely take, was that it flagged the most commonly recommended products via our IGS, or via the worming tool that we're going through here. The commonly recommended products weren't necessarily our most popular line on our website within that category, and so we've therefore taken steps to improve product pages and website conversions for those particular products, which has been great.
Fantastic. So there are other companies that provide these kinds of solutions. From your perspective, what stood out about Conversity?
Yeah, so I was actually made aware of Conversity through some work that I did with McCabe's Pharmacy in Dublin, who have successfully implemented a number of IGS solutions onto their website. So I was kind of fortunate in that respect, that I'd already sort of worked a little bit with the solution. When we sat down to, I guess, discuss what we wanted from our journey, we needed a solution that could help really build trust and confidence online for our customers, and specifically for those customers who wanted to self-serve, but also replicate that in-store advice and guidance online. We chose Conversity Connect because it allows us to not only provide a tailored recommendation for each pet, but also educate customers through the journey. And of course, the positive experience and recognition I'd seen firsthand with McCabe's certainly helped. Now, that being said, we did look at an off-the-shelf product. We certainly did look around a bit, but ultimately it didn't provide us with the project team that Conversity deploy to really maximize the benefits of these types of tools. The value, I can't over sort of emphasize the importance of the team, and having the experienced business analysts, consumer psychology, and UX team sort of working together with us, and with Photocnil, to get this right for us. It can't, it just can't be measured, and it whilst it can cost more, it is certainly worth it. And as they say, I guess the proof is in the pudding, and we are actually due to launch our second IGS with Conversity in the coming weeks. So yeah, it was.
Well, wait a minute, drum roll. What's that about?
Yeah, so yes, we have signed. We are working towards releasing our second IGS, and in fact, we're very close. Ultimately, the numbers just clearly stack up, and the feedback we've had from customers has been fantastic. So we have made that decision to continue our work alongside Conversity, and this time we're developing an IGS that focuses on pet calming, which is a growing category, and again has a wide range of products available to meet lots of different pet needs in different situations. So it's currently in its UAT phasing, and it's due to launch soon. And again, it's going to add value to our customers from an education point of view, as well as confidence to purchase in a category that isn't, again, fully understood. So yeah.
It's really interesting that you mentioned, pet worming, you deployed it, you had a mindset that, this should be good, but let's see, let's make sure that it is in fact going to produce the results that we expect. But it has, and now here you are moving into the second journey. And that is not an uncommon factor in our customer relationships, where they'll get into a category with a journey and then launch another and then another. And there are certain categories where this makes a lot of sense, and some not as much so. But it is not uncommon for the ROI to hey, can we do this somewhere else? This is really driving a great result. And so if you stepped back from everything you've done and everything you're planning, Is there anything you could share with our audience here that you would just say, hey, here's some advice that you'd share with them in terms of as they start their, no pun intended, journey?
Yeah, definitely. I guess the 3 points that are on this slide now, we provide fundamentally, they're really the first one, and it seems really, really obvious given the sort of what this whole webinar is about, is make it personal. And in practice, what this basically means is it means about getting to know, in our case, the pet, and or the consumer by asking simple questions like their name, and then carrying it through the journey as well. So and that can also include sending the emailed recommendations to the customer at the end of it, really trying to personalize that as much as possible. One of the other things that we look, and I think again, this is where I think working with the UX team, consumer psychologists, etc., has really helped, is making sure that the content that we provide through the course of the journey is relevant and simple. The customers are only going to take away a few things, so we need to make sure that the most important things are landing with our customers. So keeping that content where possible to a minimum will really improve the engagement and ultimately the conversion. So information overload can be counterproductive.
And the other thing, not to interrupt you, but I also thought that the journey you developed with us stayed on brand. So your whole website is very keep it simple, very elegant, but basic and simple in terms of the imagery and the content. So I thought that the connection between the main website and the journey was actually really well done.
Yeah, no, thanks. And certainly in terms of so we're now obviously moving in the UAT phase for our second IGS around pet calming. We've learned a lot as a result of doing the first journey. So what would we be saying to someone who was looking to start the development of their own solution here? So for us, very much we'd say buy into the development process and make yourselves available for any questions that come as part of that. Certainly with Conversity, the team really want to understand your business, definitely want to understand your business, and that enables them to ultimately develop the best possible IGS solution for you as well. And for our second IGS, intelligent guided sale, we've adopted these principles from the very start, and the pace of delivery for this second journey has been excellent. It really has.
Great. So I hope that's helpful in terms of that advice for our audience who maybe doesn't have a familiarity with this approach, or just even a bigger picture perspective on e-commerce. Now is the session or the stage where we would like to answer some of the questions that have come in so far. Let me just take a look here. So, and Phil, Neil, I don't know, you guys just grab whichever one you think is most appropriate. But the first one here I have is, how do you think about various categories, and do some lend themselves to this approach versus maybe not?
I'll take this one. Yeah. So absolutely. There are plenty of additional categories that would be suitable, and certainly a lot of categories where we'd love to be seeing another 38% conversion. So yeah, there's plenty of additional categories, certainly for us, that would be suitable. I mean, there is a however here. I say, given the nature of our particular market, some of the categories, particularly those that would require assessment by a veterinary surgeon, for example, it would be inappropriate for us to guide customers through an online journey. So obviously in the regulated environment, there are some things where actually it would be right to signpost to a veterinary surgeon, and wouldn't be appropriate for this particular type of journey.
Okay, great. And then in terms of marketing the solution, what channels have worked well in driving traffic and interest?
So when it comes to kind of the marketing of it, we've seen real success across our social channels. There's really high engagement across our social channels, and I think it's because the simplicity and the ease of access to the journey. So having the ability just to click straight through, especially on the sort of because it is mobile optimized, that's proven to be really important to us, because it's just given, again, that simplicity for access. And the other thing we see a lot of actually on social media is some really positive comments, lots of positivity around it, lots of people sharing, tagging other people in as well. So, from that point of view, it's great from a tool point of view, but also what it's doing is it's sort of growing the brand a bit more as well, because it's sort of engaging people beyond the post, I suppose. So yeah, that's kind of worked really well for us in terms of the marketing of it. So.
Okay. And then what have you done within the solution to drive online conversion? Yeah. How are you guys getting a 38%? What are you doing?
So what have we done within the solution to drive online? So one of the most important things for us is, so work from an integration perspective and performance perspective. We've made sure we've worked really closely with our developers to have that completely seamless integration piece. I think we've spoken about the use of information modals, the keeping the content nice and clean and crisp, as it were, to keep that engagement going through the journey. But there's nothing worse for a consumer, or for you or I or other people on this call, when you're on an e-commerce store, then a reduction in performance or poor performance in terms of site load and that sort of thing. So that's been really, really critical for us. And I'm delighted to say that there's been no performance issues on the site due to how Conversity hosts the IGS. We did have an issue initially with add to cart that we think was affecting some of our conversion, whereby if the site just generally was under heavy load and there was a delayed transfer to the basket, and that was one of those where looking at e-commerce and thinking, oh, is this going to be something that's going to take us quite a long time to identify, investigate, identify, and then fix, or not? And I'm delighted to say Conversity were able to act really, really quickly and resolve it on their side, actually, which was fantastic, because this one could have been an either or fix for us, but Conversity were able to fix it on their side, and that saved us a lot of work on ours. And once we had that in place, as you can see, it's just absolutely flowing.
Great. So I think that's all that we have. So we'll go ahead and pivot. If you have other questions that we didn't answer, or that you didn't ask rather, our email addresses are here on the screen, Neil, Phil, and myself. So if there's anything you want to ask us, feel free to email us. We'd be delighted to hear from you. Thank you so much for attending today. Just want to make sure you know that we will, anybody who registered, we will send out a link to this so that you can watch again at your discretion, or share with a colleague if you think there was anything that we talked about today that would be helpful to them. But again, thank you so much, Phil, Neil. Thank you both for being on with us. Really good to talk to you both.
Yeah, thanks ever so much. Thanks, guys.